So I'm in front of Tokyo Station and I'm traveling again to give a public lecture. And before that, I want to think about free will, because I think that is probably one of the really important issues in consciousness studies. And basically speaking, I think compatibility theory is right. The fact that we are all physical entities and we obey natural laws, physics and chemistry and so on. I think there's no doubt about it. So there's nothing about consciousness that is external to that. So in that sense, everything is determined. What I speak, what I do, what I think, what I feel is determined by the physical laws. And my consciousness, whatever it is not external to that. So that is, I think, the basic starting point. But the fact is that we do feel that we have free will. So that should be an illusion. And the illusion of free will is actually a fact checker. I mean, it checks whether the brain is functioning well. And if you don't feel that you have free will, that is a problem. Some people do feel that they are instructed from external entities and they do not have free will. That is a problem. There's something not just right about their brain. So, having the illusion of a free will is a really wonderful thing. And I do feel that I have free will. The fact that I started this recording in front of the Tokyo station, and the fact that I am, more or less free to speak whatever I like during this 10 minutes video. That is the illusion of free will that I have. And I'm glad that I do have that illusion, because otherwise I would, I wouldn't feel so okay. Now, so you can discuss how the illusion of free will is constructed by the brain, and you might actually cite Benjamin Libet's experiments and how temporal factors play their roles in the construction of free will, and so on and so on. But at the end of the day, there's this feeling of something quite not settled about free will. If indeed free will is an illusion, and if indeed all the molecules in my brain obey natural laws, then what is it that we have as an illusion of free will? There's something quite unsettling. And one way I think to look at it is that we probably have a safety lock, if you like. We probably don't want to understand very much about free will. I mean, we don't want to understand it. I mean, Corey Maggio discussed cognitive closure, and he meant it in computational way. There are certain things that are outside the capabilities of a cognitive system, and that is, I think, a computational argument. On the other hand, we might actually not want to know too much about free will, because it's psychologically disturbing. The fact that I feel as if I am free in choosing my actions and, speaking out my opinions has a lot to do with my mental health. So I feel okay as long as I have this illusion of free will. But if I look into it too much and have an exact understanding of what free will is, then I might not be okay. I might feel too self-aware. So there's this blissful ignorance, if you like, about free will, and that blissful ignorance actually might be one of the key aspects of free will. So the human brain might have evolved in such a way that we don't know too much about free will. And in the past, there might have been some individuals who knew too much about free will, and things might not have turned out just so right for these people. And So evolutionarily, there might have been some safety measures, installed in the brain against knowing too much about free will. That can be certainly the case. And also, I feel that there's something self-contradictory in the very notion of free will. The fact that we do feel free to choose our own actions and say anything we like, but at the same time, apparently, everything is determined by causal law. There's something that is self-contradictory, rather like the Russell's paradox in set theory. So, I think the great lesson of Russell's paradox and related ideas like the Barber's paradox and all these things, I think is having a really great lesson about in mathematics, and it's this lesson that if you go too casually about formulating arguments and propositions in set theory using these abstract symbols, then you might end up with self-contradictory remarks, and that has been the concern of Bertrand Russell. The same can be said about our actions and thinkings and sayings. We often contradict ourselves. That is a fact. I often contradict myself. I say something and I tweet and I post on the X, and later I say something and tweet and post on the X, and some people say, hey, you said in the past this and now you say this, and that is self-contradictory. Okay, yeah, that happens, but probably that is actually something that is deeply embedded in our mechanism of free will, something that is self-contradictory, and that I think is actually healthy in terms of supporting the flexible choice of actions and judgments and wordings, and so I suspect that there's this really essential self-contradictory manner at the heart of free will. Now, it's quite interesting how all these arguments relate to the question of qualia and self-consciousness. Well, to begin with, I think the feeling of free will is an instance of qualia. There are certain qualia associated with having the sense of free will, and if you don't feel quite free, then you have another sets of qualia. So apparently, you can measure the degree to which you have free will by the set of qualia that you have at a particular moment. And so, I think this realization that free will is an instance of qualia is really a great starter for theoretical discussions. And if you can work out how having a qualia of free will can lead to essentially self-contradictory and but robust computational principles about choice, wording, phrases, and so on. I think there you have it. You, I think, have more or less a theory of free will, and probably a theory of consciousness. Anyway, that's my series of thought this morning in front of the Tokyo station. And I see many tourists here from all over the world, and some from Japan. It's really wonderful to be talking about like this. And when I started this, I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't suspect that it would work out like this. So I have been talking rather like a generative AI, next token prediction. I said something, and that memory, working memory, would lead to me saying something. And of course, the relationship between generative AIs self-contradiction, transform architecture, and free will is a really great topic to discuss. But that would be for another episode for this Think Tokyo format. Anyway, so I'm going to give a public lecture. Before that, I need to get on the Shinkansen train.